Synergy Worldwide.
All right, everybody. Now it's time for our featured speaker. Woo! And who knows that we have a tradition here at the GNA? Let's try that again. Who knows that we have a tradition here at the GNA when it comes to our featured speaker? Michelle, you're the only person that raised your hand. I did. You know too, huh? Well, I saw Michelle first. What's our tradition?
They have to go to the back of the room.
That's right, Michelle. We sent our featured speaker all the way to the back. And tonight I have the great pleasure and honor to send Chairperson of the Sacramento GNA Monthly Mastermind, Rick Zeller, all the way to the back, Rick! Rick, I'll walk with you here. Keep on walking and walking and walking. There's plenty of real estate here. So I had no idea that I was going to be introducing Rick tonight. We kind of did this on the fly. Normally he's the one introducing our speakers. He's our chairperson here at Sacramento GNA. But I'll tell you a brief story on how I met Rick Zeller. I met Rick Zeller through some other networking groups out here in this area when I started networking in the Sacramento regional area. I'd say about 3 years ago or so. I actually live in the Bay Area, but I wanted to expand my horizons and my resources. And after I got to know him, he saw through Facebook that we were running some weekly events that were getting some great attendance in the San Jose area. And I don't know if you know where Rick lives. Rick lives in Rockland. And I don't know if you know how long of a drive it is from Rockland to San Jose, Rick. 3 hours with no traffic. Now on the way back, you would leave before that Altamont traffic, right? Because it would get kind of crazy. But for a 3-month period, Rick came out to support us. Obviously came out there so we could help him grow his business, but he was there to support us for 3 months from Rockland to the Bay Area. So give him a big round of applause for that. That's huge. Big case. Hang on. We're not done. There's plenty more.
Okay.
You've done a lot. We have to edify you now, right? Edify. So besides that, Rick's been a part of some of our other groups. He's been to Tracy GNA Mastermind. He's been to our Modesto Interactive Wednesdays Informal event. And he's been to our Elk Grove Monthly Mastermind. Boy, you get around, don't you, Rick? Because Rick definitely sees the value. What's that?
Can we get a car allowance?
Get a car allowance? Yeah, charge that to the GNA card. Nonprofit going in about 6 months, and then we'll have all the American Express expense card and all that, right? We'll give you your own personal black card. Not the gold, the top of the line one, the black card. Yeah, unlimited spending on that. But he's just a phenomenal pay-it-forward type of person, and I'm not going to say what Rick does, because this is what Rick always says. If you want to find out what he does, you have to do what?
One-on-one.
Say that, you have to do what? Set up a one-on-one with him. So without further ado, I'd like you all to please stand up and rise to your feet. Please stand up and rise to your feet, and give a big warm GNA welcome to Rick Zeller! I'm done.
Well, thank you. I like getting the stand up in the beginning because the odds of you guys standing up at the end isn't very good. And I'm going to. Last time I spoke in front of this group, I changed the topic, but didn't tell Elias until I got there. Okay. So today I just changed the title, and it's not really going to be a speech as much as just kind of interactive talking with you guys about some things. And really I kind of titled it, and this is why I titled it this way. About 2 weeks ago I did a pretty large team of people that I work with, and I did a SMART goal setting. And I'm like, there must be something more than just SMART goal setting. So I came up with SMART ways to increase your business in 2014. And so I'm going to go over my 5 smart things to do in 2014. And to start with, the goal isn't to be everything to everybody. So I'm going to say some things tonight that you're going to hopefully agree with. Maybe it will jog a memory thing for you, or maybe it's something new you haven't heard that you can use. I'm going to say some things tonight that you're not going to agree with, some of you. I'm going to attack one topic in particular, that my guess is some of you might even have strong feelings about them in a negative way. But this is about me relating to you. So take what you like and leave the rest. If I say something that, and the very first topic is going to be that one that's probably going to have some people go, what the heck is he talking about? Am I going to church? And so I just want you to know, I don't want you, if you don't agree with me, fine. I just don't want to ruin the whole experience for you just because we don't agree on one thing, okay? So, pick and choose what you like. To start with, I took SMART, and the very first letter S, I came up with, we are, whether you like it or not, whether you admit it or not, whether you agree or not, in my opinion, we are all spiritual beings. And I'll get people shaking their heads, yes, I'm sure we have people going, what the hell are you talking about? I promise you, I will not do an altar call, okay? But the reality for me is that I'm a spiritual being. And I have found that business and life is so much easier and so much better when you don't do it alone. And and by the way, my wife is amazing. But I'm not talking about my wife, because we have single people that do an amazing job in business or in life. But most of those people recognize that it's not just about them. They have a spirituality about them, and most of those people plug in to, I don't care if you want to call them a higher power or the universe. I have a Lord and Savior, and that's who I worship. But it depends on you and what you want to do. I'm not trying to convert anybody tonight. If anyone wants to know my God, I'll be glad to meet with you. But that's as close as we're going to get to an altar call, okay? So anyway, acknowledging that you're not in this place by yourself and being able to turn over your life to something bigger than you is incredibly important. Something I don't think I've ever mentioned in a group like this is, I'm a recovering alcoholic. March 1st, it will be 17 years for me. That's great. You usually see me the first 60, 70, 50 years of my life. 17 years, and I appreciate the applause, but I didn't do it by myself.
Amen.
If I hadn't gotten to a place that I was so down and out, that I was willing to turn it over to a power higher than myself, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I certainly wouldn't have met Joyce and been married to a wonderful person like that. And so I'm just saying, in this quest this year in 2014, take the time to search inside and see if you don't believe that there's something here on this earth that's bigger and better than you are, and then start to make that part of your day, your week, your month, because it takes away the loneliness and it gives you an awful lot of wisdom that you might not have had if you had not done that. Okay, so I'm going to move on. That's enough of that one. The M. So we got S. Now we have M, and the M is: are you improving your mind? It's not everyone. Many people think if they just work harder, they're going to do better. Some people think if they work smarter, they're going to do better. The reality is, it takes hard work, and it takes being better than you were before. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish that it's easier; wish that you were better." So how are you going to become better? I'll just wait. It's kind of cool.
It's a peaceful little ring going on right there.
Make your phone ring. That's how you get better.
Yeah, make your phone ring. So how do you improve your mind? Well, if you want to change in a positive way, the fastest way to do that is to read books that will help you think better and spend time with people that think differently and better than you. People that have what you want is the best way to find a way to get there. Now, I made a conscious decision. I'm pretty much self-taught, and before getting into the business I'm in, I didn't do a lot of reading. Did you know that the number of books that the average high school graduate reads that are nonfiction, the number that they read during the course of the year is 0. Okay? That's not a lot. 0 is not a big number, okay? You thought 1 was the loneliest number, 0 is the loneliest number. But, you know, I decided I was going to improve myself, and I didn't know where to go. I did not have a mentor in my life, so I made people that wrote books my mentors. And I found it only took me so far, and I decided I wanted more. And so I was fortunate enough to be introduced to a couple of people, 2 people in my life right now that I consider to be mentors. And it's not because of the money they make, although certainly, you know, money's kind of a scorecard in a lot of ways. I have an individual that I talk to every day. He's my accountability partner. When I say that, I'm accountable to him. He's not really accountable to me, and was never supposed to be that way. This gentleman is a self-made millionaire in 3 industries. He's 16 years younger than me, And so I have kids almost his age. And that was something that I had to just decide, you know, I have to kind of humble myself, and he has something that I don't have. He's in the same business I'm in, and he makes an awful lot more money than I do. And he has a lifestyle that I would like to have. And so I decided, you know what? I can learn something from a business standpoint, but I learn more from him by talking every day, because we might talk about business today, and tomorrow we might talk about, you know, he just got his mother out of the hospital. And we talk about, you know, what's going on in our lives. And I get to see how somebody who's making millions and millions of dollars and leading a real life thinks about what's going on with him and what's going on with me. And what I find is very often he will say something like, Rick, why don't you cut yourself some slack? Why are you so freaking hard on yourself? You know, you're so easy with everybody else, and you're so hard on you. And so I have learned to be kinder to myself. And so I've learned a lot by being around this guy named Tim. His mentor is now, I mean, I've talked to him a couple times a week, and this gentleman is the age of my oldest son. And made over $10 million last year, and still takes the time to talk to me. And, you know, what I have found is that the people that are really wildly successful, if at all possible, if they have the time, they will share their success with other people. Not in a bragging, look at me, how good I am, but in how can I serve you? How can I help you be better? You know, people that won't share their time, generally speaking, aren't really that successful. And even if they're making a lot of money, they may not be that successful in life. Their relationships are probably crap. They don't really have anybody to come home to, because guess what? They are all about them. And so I have found that reaching out, you know, I mean, not everyone I've reached out to has said, okay, yeah, let's work together, let's talk. But I have people that have. And you risk getting someone dumping on you. You risk somebody saying, no way. You risk somebody being, you know, ignoring you. But look at the upside. I mean, if you had somebody in your life that really had what you want on a big scale, and they were willing to share what they were doing and how they think. That's the thing. How they think. The person that is making $10 million and is the age of my son, 4 years ago, lost everything in the economy. He had made millions and millions of dollars in our industry and invested in a lot of commercial property, and virtually lost everything, including his house. That was 4 years ago. Last year he made just over $10 million. Now how is that possible? It's possible because of the way he thinks. He thinks differently than I do. You know? I've lived most of my life blessed from an income standpoint based on the average person. But, you know, I've never made $10 million a year. Probably, if I add it up, I haven't made $10 million in my life. And so here's a guy that thinks differently than I do. But I'm learning how he thinks. Now, that doesn't mean you do go carte blanche and just accept everything that they think is fact. I mean, there are personalities involved, there's lifestyles involved, and you have to make some choices. But if you reach out to some of these people that you know, and there's somebody in this room probably that has more of what you want in life than you have. So reach out to them. The thing is, I have found that you're never really going to surpass your mentor. So if you have no mentor or not a very good mentor, chances are you're not going to get what you want. Just kind of how it is. So the next point, the A. So we have S and we have M. So we have A, and I couldn't get anything that I really liked that went along with A, so I said amazing. So your life can be amazing, okay? And in order for it to be amazing, you have to have a big dream, a big why. I bet you if I asked everybody in here, we don't have the time for this, but if I asked each person here what their why is, I'd have people that could tell me exactly what theirs is. I have people that could tell me what they think it is and they'd be wrong. And I'd have people that go, what's a why? Now my wife wouldn't. If she didn't know what it was, and she does, she'd go, what's a why? but what is your why? Why do you do what you do? What is it in your life that stops you from going to sleep at night, or keeps you up, or wakes you up first thing in the morning and gets you going? We measure our progress a lot of times based on dollars, but it's not the money. The money isn't important if you don't have it. If you don't have it, it becomes very important. But the money by itself isn't the reason. I met with a potential business partner in Stockton earlier today, and her thing was all about her church. She lost her husband 6 years ago, and she is totally immersed in her church, and she has so many plans to help her church. And that might not be what you have at all. Maybe, for Joyce and I, besides each other, which is already pretty powerful there because we found each other late in life, between us, we have 9 grandkids. Well, they're a pretty big why for us. There's a lot of needs. Our kids haven't done a terrific job of teaching our grandkids that they can be or do anything they want. And you can have a comfortable living, and that's great. But there's a whole world of difference between being comfortable and being financially free. And financially free means you have a lot of choices. And our grandkids don't get that. And so what better way to do it than to show them firsthand? And that's one of our goals. And so each of you has a why. You just don't know it. Or if you don't, maybe you're not clear about it yet. So the why in your dream is important. Does everyone understand the distinction between your why and a goal? Right, get the laughter, but about a year and a half ago, I had a different mentor, a different guy who I still love and admire, and he asked me to send him my why letter. I'd never been asked for a why letter before, so I typed out my goals and I sent them to him. I've been goal-driven my entire life. Why, unfortunately, means I have to get emotionally vested in it. Okay, so I sent him these goals, and he calls me and goes, "Rick, thank you so much for sending me your goal letter, but I asked you for a why letter." And I'm like, "Well, that's all there is." He goes, "It's totally devoid of all emotion." I'm like, "What do you want from me?" And he says, "I want you to get in the emotion of how you feel when you don't get these things, how you feel when you do, or when you will." And so he suggested that and he asked me if I had seen The Secret, and I owned it, and I read the book, but I'd done it years ago, and I guess I did it when my timing wasn't right. So I watched it a couple of times, sat down, wrote him a letter. He calls me up and goes, "Man, this is what I'm talking about." But it took just that one thing. I was ready. I was ready to get into the emotion of what I want out of life. If you're not ready, it's going to be hard. But, it's important. Now, my present mentor, about a year ago, he asked me how I was doing on my why, and I sent him a letter, and he says, you can refine it. It's not finished. And I said, well, for now it's okay, because does it make you, now, he is from Dallas. So he's like, does it make you cry? And I'm like, no, Jim, it doesn't make me cry. And he goes, well, then you need to rewrite it. And I'm like, the last time I cried is when they shot Lassie, and he's like, you know what? Don't make this a challenge. I'll have you bawling like a baby, okay? So I've worked on it. And at a meeting I was at with some of my team members about 5-6 months ago, we sat there at dinner after a meeting, and we all told our wives, and by the time we got done, everyone at the table was crying. It was really a fun time. But anyway,
wow.
Why and your goals. Now, this is my goals. This is why I sent on December 12th, I sent my next 90-day goals to my accountability partner / him. And I was very specific. I put them, things down that I'm a stretcher. I put things down that I can't do. Some people could write out a goal letter and they have to be able to reach everything, because if they don't, it really discourages them. And that's okay. You need to know that about yourself. Some people will put something that's a slight stretch, and if they do that, they may or may not make it, but it's still a good thing. And then there's people like me. There are people that put impossible goals, knowing they're never going to make it, so they can quit next week. And then there are people that will do that, and even though they didn't hit their goal, it just drives them next week, they work harder. Now, in the first 3.5 weeks of me trying to live up to this goal, I've actually done it 3 days. So I wouldn't exactly say that's an amazing feat. However, I have noticed that my business is like on fire, because having this in front of me, and I look at it every morning. I carry it with me. And looking at it every day reminds me that instead of coming home and doing something is a waste of time, I can make another call. I can set another appointment. I can do something more with my day. And so, your life can be amazing, but you have your whys, you have your dreams. You better put your goals down in writing, and you better watch them and read them every day, because if you don't do that, first off, it's like 97% of the population does not do goals. And, the 3% of the population that makes the most money does. So you do the math, you figure out pretty soon that the people that write the goals do better. Now, out of those 3%, it's like 90% of the 3% read their goals at least once a day. So writing them and then leaving them till next year isn't going to help you. It's writing them and reviewing them on a regular basis. That's what's going to help you. So another plug here for God. I look at it this way, and this is not an original, but I stole it from somebody. So you can start looking for it on the internet. I believe that God's gift to you are your talents. They're your dreams. They're the opportunity that you have. And your gift to God is what you do with it. Okay? Too many of us get those gifts and don't do anything with them. It's a shame. By the way, I'm included. I could be doing better. So that's the A. So let's come to the R. And I think relationships are key. You guys are here right now to develop more and better, bigger relationships. And so what does that mean? Now, I've had a talk with a couple of people sitting here just today about the relationship thing. Some of you, especially the new people, may be surprised that we're not a climate where you're going to come in here and you're going to leave with a transaction. Some of you came here with the hope that you're going to talk to somebody, you're going to give them their business card, and they're going to go, wow, I've been looking for you for the last 3 weeks. Thank you for being here tonight. Okay? But it really doesn't work that way. This meeting, I'm looking around the room, and I have several business partners and most people don't know this. I actually own 2 businesses, and I never really talk about more than one of them. But I have 2, and I have 3 or 4 customer/business partners in this room right now, and I have a few of you that don't know that you're going to be. But the thing is that it's about developing a strong tie to somebody, and that means you've got to sit down with them, and you've got to be honest, and you've got to be transparent. You know, if I tell you who I am, and I expose, you know, my likes, my dislikes, what I, you know, where I go, what I do, something about my business practices, and whatever, it gives you the opportunity to decide whether I'm a trustworthy person that you could go ahead and refer business to. You know, the odds of you referring business to somebody when you don't know anything about them, do you really want to put your name on that approval? I think,
nope.
I think not. I was at a meeting, I won't mention the name, but I was at a meeting in Fairfield about 2 years ago, and I sat down, and the person next to me was an insurance guy. Nothing wrong with that. So my best friends are insurance guys. And he had a brochure with a business card on it. And I sat down, and he goes, "Hi." He didn't even ask me my name. He gave me his brochure and said, "I can do this, and I can do that, and I can do the other thing." And I said, "Who are you?" And he says, "Oh, my name is this and that." And I'm at he was actually the Sacramento area, but he was up there. And so he said, "You know, I'd like you to do business with me." And I'm like, you know, I don't know you at all. I mean, I got your card. I gave it back to him, and I said, "Look, this is the way I do business. Let's have coffee. You can tell me about your marital status, where you went to school, how many kids you have, how many grandkids, whatever. Let me know who you are. I want to know who you are. And then I'll tell you a little bit about me, and then maybe we can refer business to each other." And his response was, "So what you're telling me is, you want me to waste an hour of my time meeting you for coffee to see if you do or do not want to do business with me?"
Yeah.
I said, "I tell you what, no, I don't." And you know what? Then he set an appointment with me, and then he didn't show up at the appointment.
Oh,
That's a shame.
Okay. So, relationships are key. I have people in this room that if I ran out of gas at 2 o'clock in the morning, I could call them up and they would come and get it.
Debbie Walsh.
Call Debbie.
Call Debbie anytime.
I was thinking of you.
Yeah, but I live like I live 2.5 hours from you.
I would bring half for protection.
Yeah, whatever. I have friends in here that I can talk to about anything, or almost anything. And you know what? And I feel that they feel the same way. I have people that in this room have referred me to other people. I have people in this room that I've referred a lot of business to. And you know what? It works because we have mutual respect for each other, and we care what happens to each other, and that's what relationships are all about. So it's paramount that you start to look at each one of us as, maybe as, you know, if you're here for the transaction, if you can change your thinking to, I want to turn you into my sales force. The only way I can do that is give you enough information about me to go out and sell me. If you look at it that way, I think you'll find that this room could be powerful. And then the other that are really young, which I'm looking around this room, and there are some, more than others. Some of us are just flat old.
I just turned 40, Rick. I hit the big 4-0.
Just a young pup.
Good life.
I'm getting old now, man.
So time is fleeting. I'm 63, and I feel like I'm in the prime of my life unless I'm moving. And my knees or my back, and there's something around that hurts. But my mind feels like I am, you know, in the prime of my life. My mentor, perfect example. This guy became a multi-millionaire in 3 different industries, and his last one was a contractor. He was a contractor for 26 years. He was a FEMA contractor, which means he was gone from home almost all the time. 5 offices, 200 employees, 1,000 subs, gone all the time. Every time it was a disaster, he was gone. He has a wonderful family, and he misses his family a lot. He found a business that he put himself in and went crazy with to develop a similar income. You know, people go ooh and ah because this guy's making 7 figures, but the reality is he was making more money when he was a FEMA contractor. But what he has now that he didn't have before is his time. The older we get, the more valuable the time becomes. And so my quest for you is to utilize your time wisely. This is a wise investment in your time if you make it count. If when we get done with the meeting part, you'll go around and introduce yourself to other people, set up one-on-ones, and get to know people and let them get to know you. This was a huge time asset for you. If, however, you sit around with, you know, I am the original wallflower. I like to speak, but I'm not that outgoing guy. I'm kind of shy. So if I don't make myself go out and talk to people, I get done with the meeting and I sit at my table and I wait for somebody to come by.
How much of that do you want me to buy, Rick?
Well, I brought my appointment book with me, so I'm going to sit over here and you guys can just come by and set appointments. No, you know, it's important that you make the investment. You know, now every time you set a coffee with somebody, it's probably an hour. You got drive time. You know, you got to make it count. The only way to make it count is to, you know, be willing to share who you are, and make them share who they are. I was at another GNA meeting where I did a one-on-one with somebody, and this gentleman, nice guy. But I sat down with him, and he takes his 12-page report out, and he hasn't even told me if he's married, and he's going through how much money I'm going to make doing certain stuff. And I'm like, okay, are you married? He goes, yes, I am, and you can make $12,475. And I'm like, do you have any kids? He goes, yeah, I have 2 boys, and this is all it costs to get in. And, you know, finally I said, hey, look, this is the deal. Put it away. I'm not doing it. I'm never doing it. So let's talk about us. You know, sometimes you have to do that. Super nice guy. I learned a lot about him. You know what? I'll probably never do business with him because he hasn't changed the way he reacts to people. But if he changed his ways, he is such a nice guy. And he's so caring about, you know, everyone having a benefit from their relationship with him that I honestly believe if he changes the way he builds relationships, he's going to kill it. But the point is, you have to come out of yourself. You really do. You have to share yourself with other people, or it's not going to work. You know, we have a saying in our business, make it count. And each and every day, each and every opportunity, this meeting here, people you're going to meet tomorrow at whatever it is that you do, you have a chance to make it count for them, with them, for their benefit. And if you do that, if you make each instance count in a positive way, what will happen is a year from now, you're going to be amazed at what happened this year. You know, one way to do that, and everyone's got a different business, so it's kind of hard to judge or put a number on it, but maybe you can. If you could find a way to keep track of the number of people or families or however you do business, how many people did you actually help today or this week or this month? You know, make it like a McDonald's sign. You know, help 4,537 people.
1 billion.
That's a good idea.
More than 1 billion served.
But keeping track of who you're helping, how many people you're helping. One thing that I did this year, which I've never done in the past, I've always monitored my behavior weekly. I have found that it was easy for me to do. I would just look at it every Friday, say, well, I did this and this and this, I didn't do this, this and this, I can be better next week. And I've been doing it now for my life, but this last year and a half, I came to the conclusion, and that's why I asked him to be my accountability partner. I came to the conclusion that I wasn't maximizing every day. And so it really hurt me to say, here's what my daily goals are. I'm going to talk to so many people a day. I'm going to do so many presentations a day. Because that's not the way I've done it. I've not been that accountable. I've just said, well, I'm going to do this so many this week, and if I had a Monday and Tuesday that was slack, I just try to make it up on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. But the reality is, you never make up the day you lost. And so, by monitoring my activity daily, what's happened is my activity has gone up. And it hasn't gone up a little bit. It's gone up a lot. Which makes me wonder what the heck I was doing last year, because clearly I'm doing a lot more of it now, and I thought I was doing great last year. But it's just changed my activity level. So, I would suggest that if you're in a business where you can do it, find an accountability partner. Get honest with yourself about your time. There's nothing worse than lying to yourself about your time. I got 47 hours to do this in, but darn well between your family obligations, and for me it's disc golf. I love disc golf. But whatever it is that you do, there's no way you have that 47 hours, to be honest with yourself. Make the most out of the 20 or 25 or 30 hours that you have by making it count. So that's really pretty much in a nutshell what I had for you today. I'm going to go back to the spiritual one, because I want to close with this, and then I'll answer any questions. I talked about, finding your spiritual side. Well, I think almost anyone can relate to this, whether you are a believer or not. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you. They are plans for good and not disaster, to give you a future and hope." And that's what I wish for each and every one of you. If at all, I'm here every month. If at all you'd like to talk about any of this stuff, you want a recommendation for someone that might be a really good match for you as far as a accountability partner or whatever, I'd love to talk with you about it. I'll make myself available. So unless there's some questions or positive comments, Debbie.
You know what? She's getting better.
Yes.
What was that? Isaiah 29?
29:11.
29:11? Jeremiah, okay. I thought you said Isaiah.
Oh, by the way, Rick, just to make one thing clear, that the insurance broker that Rick was talking about in that video, or that in that portion of his presentation, was not me. Yeah.
I was not.
Yeah, let's make that clear here, because I'm.
Are you?
Because there's one more. What was the M for?
M for it. It was mine.
And
just for that comment, Rick, guess whose tomorrow fan page is going to explode?
Oh, you actually know Rick Zeller has a fan page?
Yeah.
What?
That's right. I will look at it, so it won't
But
matter.
guess who's going to upload it tomorrow and it's going to explode?
Why don't you just hack into it and close it?
Don't tell me, because I know people that can hack.
Yeah, she's going to turn it into Rick Zeller hair cutters.
Wow. Whoa.
Thanks, Rick. So I want to thank you for a really great presentation. And I want to thank you, Joyce, because you share with him, and he shares his love on Facebook and encourages so many people. I have 500 plus Facebook friends, which is a drop in the bucket for some of you. But it was through GNA that those networks started, and it's a message like that where my clients hurt and they want to see that love is real, that comes out, and it's very, very helpful. Thank you.
Yes. I want to say something too. I was reading one of your posts the other day, Rick, and it inspired me, because it is really a strong man who acknowledged the queen. I'm serious, because when you
She makes me do it.
Hey,
She posts
She writes that herself.
hey, Deborah. Deborah, are you personally inviting Rick Zeller to the Women's Mastery?
Yeah, he could come because I wanted to, there's dining on the outside. Y'all could do the man thing on the outside, but I don't want to talk about that. I just want to edify you. I want to edify you because I'm saying I did a one-on-one with this gentleman and it helped me. Because he told me you should focus on your why. And here's what happened. I told my why and I got $2,000 worth of product. The Real Stuff Worldwide. The guy was giving out $50,000, but it's because I thought about it. After having a one-on-one with Rick, he's like, you thought about your why? I said, yeah, I thought about my why. I know my why, but have you wrote your why down? Man, I sat down and wrote that why down, and it's did miracles. So that's a big part of what I do, just the why. People get to know that you're real.
Well, thank you.
And we're human. And
I want to expound on that just a second. I met somebody at this meeting maybe 6 months ago, and we did a one-on-one. She asked me if I do a one-on-one with her, and I did. And we spent about 2 hours talking. And she had done several different company things. I call them things. She's done several of them, and she hadn't had any success with any of them. And so I asked her, what are you doing now? She was doing a new one. And I said, well, you're doing a new one. You haven't had any success with the old ones. Why? She said, well, I'm thinking sooner or later I'm going to get the right one. and so, I said, well, do me a favor. Why do you do it? What's your why? And she thought about it for a second, and she told me the first thing that came to her mind, and now this is somebody I've known for 2 hours. And I just looked at her and said, you know what? That's not it. And she looked at me and she goes, you're right. It's this. And she throws out something else at me, and I thought about it for a second. I said, those are great goals and stuff, but that is not your why. That is not what's going to keep you up late at night and get you up early in the morning. That is not it. She says, I don't know what my why is. And I said, well, you know what? You focus on it. And I promise you, if you will focus on it over the next week, month, whatever, how long it takes, it will come to you if you make it a priority. And the next time I saw her, she actually came to one of my meetings that I hold, but as a guest of somebody else's. And she came up to me afterwards and said, Rick, I want to thank you because I was driving to school to pick up my kids the next day. And she goes, I had to pull over because I started to weep. Because what is so important to me came so clear to me as I was going to pick up my children. We all have that driver. We all do. But some of us just aren't in touch with it. And if you want a place to start, these 5 things are great. But if you want a place to start with your why. Because if you get in touch with your why, nothing can stop you from greatness. I mean, you will move mountains, literally move mountains, if you will get in touch with that why. So, anyway, thank you for accepting my information.
Awesome. Give Rick a big round of applause. Louder.